We're back to continue on our journey through some of this vibe coding. For all this, just recorded a really good podcast episode with Martin about trend of vibe coding. Um, and yeah, we'll see what people say when they're kind of stuck. Definitely a lot of people doubling down on being able to um, get through non-trivial solutions without any coding backgrounds. I mean, I think that's doable, but it's doable without some knowledge of programming. Um, but we're getting there. I mean, event modeling is about this idea that this is a language, programming language, really, kind of specifying what you want the system to do. So if the large language models can do that, then great. I'm really more interested in using large language models to create event models. I think getting code from an event model is a fairly trivial thing. As we've seen, I've already pasted some screenshots of parts of the event model just to get code that really did exactly what I wanted. So I think the vibe coding thing needs to really kind of take one step back and understand that you need to specify all the intermittent steps, not technically, but from a state point of view. So you have multiple steps to attain something, you need to be explicit about those. Otherwise, you're not going to like the variety of answers that the statistical inference large language model is going to end up with. So anyway, let's get back to coding. Let's see here. So coding stuff. I did work on a better sort of background. So I'm going to get rid of this little scrolling thing behind me. Some people said it kind of irritates them as they're watching. So I'm going to have a different sort of way to display the text. It'll kind of roll over every 10 seconds instead of scrolling. Behind there, I'm going to put in some already vibe coded some plasma effects for the back just through a simple canvas in JavaScript. So definitely we'll see how that goes. Got half of it done yesterday just for fun, kind of fun to do. But let's take a look at our, and if you have questions about this, what I'm doing here, again, this is our application that doing the conference. But what we're doing is we're finding a better way to specify these slices. We call these slices parts that change the state, parts that view the state. I'm finding that we have a better way to make the code kind of live together, which will help large language models get the maximum use out of the context window. So let's just take a look at what that actually means. So our app.js here, we got to the first part here where we actually got this to work. This is our bootstrap that we have here for basically inserting these slices. So our slices need to be kind of small. And what I want to do is actually put in the tests here. And I think it might be a bad name for this. We should call it test suites. Because it's really a collection of timelines. Test scenarios, I think, is better. And then here we start to insert kind of what we had. See, it already knows. It kind of know. It tries to know what I'm doing here. The happy path, input, conference name expected. output. So let's look at our test cases that we had for our slice before here. These are our test slices, and basically what we have, we don't need to do this because we already have that in our slice definition. So this is another advantage of doing this. So let's just copy paste in these timeline name and just call them scenarios instead of timelines. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe test timelines. I don't want to borrow. I don't want to borrow the terminology from regular unit testing. Unit testing for event sourcing is a lot different. So I'm just going to take all of these and copy them at first. But then I want to actually not push them into the slice tests. I want to see if I can put these into our test runner. First of all, we'll put that in here. And so test timelines. I think I like timelines better. Okay, so this is exactly kind of, okay, let's see if this actually makes sense. We have the event, we have the name, have the previous event handlers, conference names, right? So we have this idea that we're changing what we need, and we have our invariant that we kept, so that if we don't, we try to change the name of the conference to the same name it was. That's the only exception we have here. We also have this idea that we have the exceptions here, or no change. And so I want to see how we handle that exception here. So we have this constant of exception conference name, no change. I think what we want to do is we don't have anything in this construct with the equivalent of a const. We need to use this no change. So because we can look this up, this really is just this error. So I think we can copy this and use that as a way of dealing with our exception. So instead of doing this, we can use the exception no change. We could obviously have a better name for this. Maybe we should. No change is a bad name for an exception. No change in name. That's kind of what we do. And then here, look that up. And of course, here we want to change that like that. Okay, so definitely need to. Now, the interesting part here, when we have this happening as an exception, is our test runner. First of all, let's look at our test runner. We have these slice tests here. Because we add them. So we could do one of two things. We could start using our new format and then translate the old format to this new format. Or we just add another if check, because I think we're not going to have this checkpoint command in our slice name and all of this stuff here. If we prepend the slices, slice tests, yeah, we're going to be iterating over slices instead. Instead of slice tests, and the timelines still line up, but we have a slightly different way of looking at them. So let's see how that would be So slices, slice. Um, at the beginning. Okay. So we should have an error now. Tell us the first thing to take care of. Of course, it's going to see undefined name, which is correct. Tests here. It's also bootstrapping the slice, which I don't know if we want that. How do we run our entire application here? So we run the tests. If over here we do all of this, I was wondering why we don't have the actual app handling logic in there, but whatever. I don't want to. See, it's bootstrapping the slices, which we don't really need. Those are the tests here. I really don't. Yeah, calling. Okay, and then tests are running. So okay, so did the bootstrapping thing. I really want to avoid the bootstrapping. So push event slices, and then have the bootstrap here probably being called at the end. Yeah, so basically I want to if and not add a testing thing. See, if you want to leave a note or ask a question about this, use the Discord chat. That ready. So if you order of how this runs, just checking my chat to see questions, but no one is. So where's the test here? So okay, run tests. Okay, not run tests. Then that's all we need to get rid of that bootstrap tests. If not, all if not running the tests, then bootstrap. Okay, so now we should be able just to get the things that are failing. Yeah, so it should be running tests. That's good. I'd like to get rid of all the other calls as well. Here, we really don't need a lot of this stuff to be called at all. Any of this app stuff, Express, any of these. So I probably want to clean this up where all of this actually just runs if we're not running tests. Yeah, we don't need Express and all that. So these just have to be changed to a let, and then all of these things come in. We're not testing. I don't know. Do we bother with that now? I guess I never really had a chance to that. So if tests. I don't want to do that. And here we want to do that. Map equals find. Sure. That test equals find. We want them to exist at the top here. And can I just do this? That kind of stuff, right? Or upload. That's right. Of course, we can put all that around this. And have all of these execute in here. So I think that's better. So we're not running all this stuff all the time when we just test, right? This should still work, right? Tests is giving us the same error, but if I don't do the tests, it should run, and we should be able to just get the conference. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, so that works just fine. Got that last. There we go. I switched since the last stream, I switched out the scenario, so I deleted a lot of the events that we had in here. Simply because I was showing someone, actually our clients, just this little events utility, being able to switch scenarios and watch the event stream and all that stuff. So again, another time I'll show that little script that I'm writing in the fish shell to do that. Okay, so anyway, that seems to be good. Yep, and I think, I don't know if this needs, yeah. It's the other thing here is that we have these will go away because we're not doing that for every path now. Our new way of doing things is really to put these into slices. So this get conference name is going to disappear. We are going to have slice for that. I'm kind of wondering if we have nothing calling anything. So we have a path and all this, the direction input. I'm actually wondering as well if we would make everything a post, if we could get Express to reroute gets to be posts with no data, then we would have a lot of an easier time with slices. So like for example, this could be a post with no data. Yeah. Anyway, TBD. We'll see what happens, but definitely was considering just handling posts and rerouting get requests to be posts, just so we have a very similar way of handling it. But let's take care of the tests here. We have an issue with running that. Okay, here, this is quite nice though. Seeing like when we call something, shows us what it's doing. Quite nice. But now let's just do that with the test parameter and start to I cannot get. Oh, see, that's good. We have a problem here because we have all of these things have to be if not test run. Which is fine. I'm happy to do that for now. bootstrapping slices. Slice tests are fine. So yeah, all of these things have to be, if not run tests, and we should have had that from the beginning. We really shouldn't be calling the app function. I'm glad that we're doing this because whenever you have the test parameter, we shouldn't be instantiating anything like Express or any of our web stuff. We're just running the tests themselves here. And when we break all this stuff out, yeah, like we really don't need, yeah, we don't need any of that to run the tests, which is correct. And even this doesn't need, I mean, it's just a function. It's not really running anything. We don't, I guess we do use it if we are pushing an event, but we don't push events in our, we don't get events and we don't push events in our tests. We have those actually just as static data pieces. So that's fine. Let's keep going. Bootstrap. Okay, so where's our other stuff? If. Yeah, that's fine. Yes, so see, everything's kind of everywhere. All of this is going to get consolidated into defining slices. I still want to see kind of what the default is for starting the application. Really want that to be also just a slice. So this should get rid of those issues. Yes, they're kind of wordy. Good. See that, and yes, here we need that. Same thing. Here we do the same thing. Here. Good. Good. Topics. And I think we're done here. Each state, yeah, these are all the wrappers here. You can get rid of those wrappers pretty much, which is nice. They'll be inside the one bootstrap function. That's going to so all right, so now we should get rid of that. Oh no, we still have one here. What 552, so we do here. 550, yeah, right here. That guy. And now we have app use. Oh yeah, so yeah, we don't need any for error handling wrapping. That's like basically the custom error pages. We don't want the white flash of yeah, these guys here. Tests. Okay. That looks good. So are we actually at the proper, yeah, we're back to our test failing. Because now 1243 is going to have a problem. our test runner is not going to have what it expects because our slices has this here. Yeah. So I'd like to see this on this. Okay. So look one side at the top of the file structure that we have now for our slice. Okay. So our slice has this name, the conference. And so our slices, we can do map. Or I don't want to do a map. Got everything. Has a name and has a slice name there. So what I could do is I could do slice before we do that. We can do slices for each slice goes to. We could sort of make it look like the previous structure, and one of the things that we need to do is make the slice slice name equal just the name of the slice here, because yeah, it's looking for slice name, and we just have the name, call it slice name, because we kind of know that everything's a slice now. So again, this was what our test runner was iterating on, was the collection of tests. Now we're iterating on the collections of slices, which then themselves have the tests. So we're kind of putting everything together, and that's why this needs to kind of live there. So that is one thing that we're doing. I'm going to make that an inline thing if we don't have too many things, but right now it'll live like this. So let's see what the next error is. Timelines. So we don't have timelines, which is easy to change. So we can do slice lines. And we can equal that slice timelines. Should make that work. Okay. Because yeah, now we a slice has a test timeline. So again, because we're putting the tests into the slices, we have different ways things. Okay. Oh, excellent. So now we're actually running everything. And of course, our first one's going to fail because this is getting name the conference. And what's interesting is test function name. Tests are running. Testing slice, name the conference. Okay. What are the other ones? Oh, set conference name. Why is it not? It's not, oh, because it's doing the test function name. Okay. Okay. So we're not going to have a test function in here. So we can also do that by doing, I'm going to fix everything little by little. And then we're going to be able to flip at one point where we're not doing this, and it actually makes me think, should we do it the other way? That we make the existing tests kind of have what we have here. Interesting. Because I don't want to have to reverse all of this. I'd rather... See, this will just get things to work. I don't know. I'd rather see all the other tests fail and get this first test working. Let's try it that way. That my intuition tells me to do it that way. So this one says let's run the tests again and see. Yeah, so we go back to this thing where slice name is undefined, blah blah blah. Slice test function name. Yeah. So okay, just gonna have name. That's good. Now that should work. Yeah, we have tests. Yeah, so we do that. So yeah, 145. Yeah, timelines is not what we have. In each slice, we have test time. That's okay. That should have gotten rid of that. And because we have 4 each, I think it's because this is a test, an array. Yeah, properties reading for each. I think it's because it's an array. I think it has to be collection, like just an object. That's not. Oh, I see. Okay, so it would have to have a name. So let's see how the other tests were created. So it has timelines. It is an array. Oh, we already have a test failed. So we're looking too far. This for each is from the next slice. So okay, so that's good. We already have this test failed. name the conference with auto test runner. Okay, so that's a red herring. We actually missed the fact that we actually are working on. We're already into this first test running. So test timelines. Test timelines is working. We're already getting at this. It's probably failing on the timeline name. Oh, it should be there. So timeline name should be there. But we're not. It's the summary. Test failed. Testing timeline. Why is that? Oh yeah. Where is the? So it never gets the summary either. So this so running all this is not cannot read property. So essentially, the fact that this test runner fails somewhere here, we never get this summary. That's odd. How many tests can we have? Test failed, test failed, test failed. Okay, so that's okay. So these failed tests are our own new tests here. So we should have how many of these explosions? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 explosions, and the rest is the test framework failing. So we have how many tests? We have one here. Command 1, 2, 3. Oh, where's the fourth one? Is for these? Did I miss one? Where can it fail? Checkpoint. 1, 2, and 4. So we do have 4. Okay, that's perfect. So it is running and it's failing on each. Okay, good. So I don't care that the test runner is broken for everything else right now. That this is fine. So we have to ignore this last for each. That's failing on the previous structure of the tests. We have to sort of look at this first one. Test function is not a function, right? So we are running with the outer runner, which is good. Now, do we want to change structure at all? We certainly, well, the exception, we know that this exception piece has to be handled differently, for sure. So let's we have a test pass, test failed, failed in slice. Okay. Now, the interesting thing is that we could get a report if we just, instead of doing this, we just do slices. That will be better. Perfect. So now we just dropped everything that we're doing before, and we can see that we're starting with just our 4 initial tests. And I know that the other tests pass with the implementation that we have, but we'll basically restructuring the application to use this slice architecture. So that's good. Yeah, test function is not a function. That's great. So we need to correct that because we don't have a test function now. What we do have is we have event handlers. As you can see in our previous test runner, we do an accumulator, right? So we have this whole thing running through reduce, which is correct. We have that checkpoint. Then we have this test function here. Okay, and we're doing a checkpoint if it's a command. Okay, that's what I was wondering. If we need to have an object here, or if we just call it input. And at that point, if we have some input, we expect a resulting event. If we have something like output for a query, yeah, this is something else I've been thinking about to make both the input and output slices look really similar. And we already have that kind of going here with just the fact that we have a return type that has data, but also the type, which is the event and the summary. So sorry, the event and the name. So we can have 3 different types, either an event, a state view, or an exception. So based on the return type, expectation of a return type, we know what we're dealing with, whether it's a input or a output. And I think we can continue to kind of simplify this, but it's a little bit tough to figure out right now how exactly to front load that so we know what we're testing for. And I'm wondering if there is a place that's better than saying direction input, whether we can extract the return that we want from this because we have an exception. So we have exception, we have possible exceptions, and then we have possible events that are coming. So this slice, because it has exceptions, know that it is an input. If it has no exceptions, we know that it's an output. But does that, lacking that terminology, is not being transparent enough to our intention with each slice. So I think we're going to keep this input and output piece. And we're going to have to see, I don't know if it's checkpoint.command. See, we don't need this test here. We basically need to say if, yeah, state change test. So basically, yeah, we're testing for an exception, or we're testing for this running correctly. And we don't need to do that anymore, right? So essentially what we need to do is, because we're going to have a type that's an exception, or a type, we have this meta, which we don't need here. We need just the type, summary, type, the summary, and the exception. So and we really don't need a summary. We're doing exceptions, we're not storing them. Really don't need that. So we just look up what exception we have and we just check on the type. We either have this, and in fact, I'll put the type after. Don't need the summary here. Summary is only, you know what the best name would be for the summary? Event summary. Pretty R in an event. The reason that I'm saying that is I would stop the AI from trying to insert the summary into like exceptions. But anyway, I think this would be in a strongly typed language where we're not using so many anonymous constructs. It would be a little bit easier. We'd be forced to name things a little bit more redundantly, which would give us a better understanding of what's going on. So, in other words, this entire piece here is going away. Because it's fairly generic that it's doing state and that, and we don't really need it. And I think we just save this logic, but get rid of the checkpoint for input or output. We really don't need actually any of this. We just need to show, yeah, so try catch. Not gonna need any of these things. So we have the purpose. Are we gonna need this purpose for? Yes, we are. Purpose is going to give us a name of the test that we're testing at this point, regardless of testing for state or yeah, and all of this other stuff goes away. So yeah, so each check, we have still some checkpoints that are just data. And so we're only going to be checking for the word purpose. Because our given is always going to be that. And then instead of our command, what we're going to have is our action, I guess. Quite interesting because now we're kind of blurring the lines here. Since we want the signature of all slices, input and output, to be really the same. So the invariant function, while having the state, anything that we want with the request, and possibly exceptions that we could throw, the invariant function for an output slice is going to also return something, but the type is going to be state view. The data is going to be the model. We're going to have the name for the state view. We probably will not have summary, though. That's the case that we're handling events. So the question is, whatever gets passed into this request, kind of what we're going to have for parameters. And the other thing that I don't, well, okay, so these are slices. We have things that are basically saying this is a web request type, paths, and all that. We aren't going to have that for our processor. Our processors are going to be working differently. So I think it might be too early to kind of reorganize this. Let's just see how far we can go with some explicit naming. But I do want to get rid of all of these and just basically to check if we have this. That is the only way that we're going to have test, is that we have these things that are called purposes here for testing. So if it has a purpose, that's otherwise no purpose here. This is just supplying information. Checkpoint. So let's take a look how we can get that going. So we got rid of that. Now we can try to basically do anything here. We don't need to do any of these things. So we have, let's just copy this and see what happens here. We copy that. We don't need to check if it's a command or anything like that. So we get the result. We don't have the test function. We have the events that we supply. But our test function is this invariant. But we calculate the state by running the event handlers. So we kind of have things here. So we have a const state equals. Here we do slice dot handlers. Slice dot. Actually, no, we go all of the accumulator slices. It is accumulator event. No, that's not be trained. So We now need to try basically apply this event. We have a reducer here. Sliced out initial state. Do we have that? Yes. That's what we, okay. And we still return the accumulator. Yeah. That's fine. In here, we want to look up event. So we go we say state equals slice event handlers event. Now, how are we running event? We still have meta here. I think we got rid of that. So yeah, have the data type right away. So we got rid of the meta. We don't need meta. We can just type. That. We know it's an event that we have. Fine. Very interesting that we could have yeah, this is not good. This is actually a different testing. So this is an input. We're always going to be testing. So we can just go straight to data. We don't need a go right to data. And then we can have the result. So we don't even have to an exception. And the result is that the event type so that this perfect. So, and in fact, I want to maybe move the purpose up to the top. Aim for this. That and and that works. Okay. Don't need a command now. Now we have data. We need the result. That's fine. So we have the purpose. Data is the name that's coming in. So I don't know if it's data. It would be like input or parameter. Okay, I think that's a little bit shorter too. Really good. But this reads a lot better now because we have the result is the type of an event, which means success. This is going to be a lot of rewriting to do this, but I think we're going to end up with something a little bit nicer. And yeah, I like that. And so checkpoints, this is an event. I think that's kind of how we still have things in events with data. Yeah, it will have data, data and meta. Yes, because we still need to store things this way, events. So our events are going to be like this, but our result object is going to contain an event. That's why we're going to have that. And unfortunately, I think it's going to be meta. Yeah, which is fine. I think yeah, that's because yeah, we need to deal with the exact result. I think we're still gonna have to strip the summary out of there, which is okay. Our test runner will do that. Okay, so let's get at least one test passing here by doing this. And so the state, a reducer in our test runner, goes through our event handlers, calls it with the state and the event. It's correct. Here. Have our here conference named, yep. It just has that. Perfect. All right. And should we just return that? I guess that's all we need to do is really just call the event handler and just return it. And that's fine. If we return that, that means we go back to our reducer for the next one. If we do that, we just return our, if we catch an error in any of this, of applying this event handler, we just return the current state and move on to handling the other event. We loaded up. This was something I was considering not putting, but the amount of default checks for the default value of state was too many. I'll just throw in the initial state here. I think it's still do the other way of working if you want somehow here, but that's fine. So now that we have our state set up through reducing all the events, let's now check our result. So the result, we don't have a test function, we have an invariance function. Invariant function and checkpoint parameter, right? So that's correct. We have a checkpoint parameter. This is the command in this case. We have that. Um, so our result is now going to check. Yeah, the type. So this is interesting because now is each, I guess everything is going to have a type. Okay. Running the invariant function, we return exceptions. This is also where a problem can arise. And I want to make sure that if we have a problem, oh yeah, this is bad. Our invariant function, we need to make this something that is not doing that. We need another. And this is the divide parameter. That's actually pretty good. Because I don't want this to be a request. Yeah. I had a feeling that that was good. So we need the provide parameter function to be the function that has at its disposal the request for the framework to do whatever it needs. Provide that, and we say that, okay, now we can enter in the land of no idea that we're in a web application and add in this data in its raw form, which will do that. And now we isolate the invariant function from having any shenanigans thrown for things not being defined. State data exception. I think that's a good signature for this because now we have the parameter here, which is the data, is correct. So the data here, name, oh, yeah, let's just get the name in there. Fact could arguably not have that in. I don't know if it's necessary to have parameter could be it should be parameters, right? Don't, well, the parameter is an object, a bunch of stuff. But we could, we know that it's the thing, this, so just gut things as far as we can. So the data is state as the data. We don't need that. A lot shorter. We call it parameter. I like that better. I think that makes it quite clear as to what's happening, because now we can have here which whatever we want here with that. So hope that makes sense. We have the parameters exceptions. And this would be slice exceptions. Because we need to be able to this possible property of this of the actual space. Okay, so that looks good. We don't expect a failure here, but do we make the test runner more resilient? We do have a try around the whole thing. Which we say test failed, blah, 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 whatever. That's fine. These asserts fail anyway, which is what we're kind of doing. So that's okay. And then we can do checkpoint result. And we can say if result type equals event, then we can result equals strip summary result. Okay, and I think that's that. We had that before. We just put strip summary on result, and I don't know why we put the strip summary on that. We never really need it. But whatever. That's fine. I wonder how we do the strip summary. It's somewhere up at the top. Delete metadata set. Yes, that's fine. That's good. So once we have that, we do that. And I think we actually start doing these things without these strip summaries. Rid of this. Uh, of brackets, yeah. Bracket here. That should be it. Okay. JSON stringify result. JSON stringify checkpoint result. Result. What? Okay, so kind of a nasty long way to say the same thing, and we. All right, bracket hell. Insert this. Oh yeah, one. This. Just making that assertion. But with that, and then we get all that. Good. So now that we copied all that, we can get rid of basically everything on this statement down, which is really simplifying things because now we've made that disappear. Amazing. Just because in it's very, very good. Air guitar. I'd probably just do a stringify of this and whatever. That's just a nine. And okay, I like this because now, well, one way to find out. What do we have? We still have explosions here, 4 of them. Assignment to constant variable, 12, 9. Oh, const. Good. Type event data name uses. Data namespaces event. Okay. So we have should be just the structure of these. I like the way it looks where it says result type event. So it tells you immediately. Don't like when data is serialized when the metadata comes front all of this. It's interesting because the result is this. And we do return, oh. Yeah, so I think we don't need to have that order here. When we write it to disk, we can do it in the correct way. Don't We don't have a meta type. Data. We have to have a way of yeah, of restructuring our event. That's fine. Definitely for this running, we need to extract all that. And I think we already do, because we have this slice running on the application level. Should just actually test that if we have broken that at all. Nope. And I've so we catch an error. Yes, because we have this requirement. Okay, so we have to, this case, this will be an interesting runner because we probably would want to have this bootstrapper see if we have slices that aren't part of the pipeline. I know exactly what's going on here. We don't have this invariant function needs data. So actually parameter. Glad we actually did this. This will definitely evolve. Like I said, for I mentioned that it should be pretty cool. Let's try and run it again, and we should have some error. Yeah, it's nope, we still have this issue here because we have our state view is conference name. Oh, I see. See, name. Remember we unwrapped that our we're not, where did we do it? I kind of unwrapped that here. The parameter name is that. So now the result name data with the name in here, somehow wrapping that up. So I'm wondering why it see this extra wrapping here. Pushing the event. So where we put the event script. Fine. So I think the event's fine when it's coming. just before we push this in our bootstrapper method, an issue, all provide param. Oh, I think it's a provide parameter. We forgot to that provide parameter. Yeah. So it's basically, it doesn't need the wrapper for the literally just. Okay. Cool. So let's just double check that now we are not malform events. Yeah, it's good. So now we have data, name, that. Perfect. Awesome. So that works well, and we can get back to actually running our tests. Sure that we get to work on making this pass. Because remember, we have everything here that we need. We have the event, the return is a type of event, has the data, which is the name, and the meta, which is the type. But now what we have is the type coming in with the type event after, name and all that after. So that's okay. We want the return. We want the type at the beginning. That's okay. I'm not sure if that'll do it. No, still have 4. So let's see. We moved this up. So I have type event as the result, type event as a result. We have data as the next thing with its name. Yep. And then we have data name and then meta and then type and then, oh, interesting. So it's the event name is what's here. So we don't have a, and we don't have, and we still have the summary in there. Summary is at the top, right? So the stripping of the summary actually is, and strip summary is not doing the thing. Summary here is all that because the event top. The problem. So now that should at least get rid of the summary being added here. So yeah, we no longer have the summary in here. So we have type event, then we have data, name, and then we have name of the event. So here we have type, event, data, meta, and type. So we need meta and type. So meta and type, data, return. Meta. Script. And it's in the meta. Summary can't be, summary's at the top. Summaries only for events. Okay, so that's yeah. Let's put it at the top to keep things working. Ah, we got our first pass. Perfect. Okay, so that's good. Our first test passed. Now we have the structure here. Actually, we don't because we have checkpoints, result, type, event. Okay, good. So we're embedding. I'm not sure if I want the result have the type specifier, or if we just check for absent event or exception. I kind of feel like this is bulky, and I hate having properties embedded to check if other properties exist. Let's just see if this is an event. Um, I like that the event is of the exact same structure as what I'll be checking the result for. For example, to get this to work, the other problem is that if you have multiple possibilities, there's the idea that, that you could mix and match like multiple things. You could have like a state view and an event, something like that. With just one result that has an embedded type, makes it easier. But then I don't want to have to unwrap this in my mind to compare it to this. So now I'm changing my mind on the result. I think the test runner should wrap this. Yeah, I think I want the this really to be just event. I think that's gonna make the most sense. This whole thing, I agree, has to just put, but I really want that to work. So that's not gonna work now. I don't know if I want the implementation to have a result type here. Because here it should be doing, yeah, it's got the type, but it's doing it at the end. Kind of gross. Let's get type event, type exception, which gives us a way for our infrastructure to kind of test what's going on. And I think we can just unwrap it here. How are we going to handle the exception? Check for an exception. That's our next step anyway. Sure that this. So we used to have this as a result. Purpose parameter event. Now we have purpose. And now we have parameter. And then we have an exception. So, okay, what are we testing? Exception should be thrown if the name is not changed. So we provide the same name we had before. Then we get an exception back. Okay. Back to this one here. We just have an event. I think this will be fine. Exception. And we have a result which will have a type, which we will unwrap. Yeah, now I'm wondering if it's even worthwhile keeping this wrapping here. I don't want the tests to look ugly. But I want really a simplified test runner shouldn't be the end goal. Kind of want a test runner to kind of, instead of upfront, we were checking if it's a type of test of whatever. I think we still want an exception type returned. So we just don't need, I don't think we need this type here. Because if we get this and we have meta, if we have data and meta, we could get, okay, I think the implementation should have the type so that our test runner won't be too messy. But our test specifications should be easy to write. I think we have both. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, we can do this kind of stuff. And then if I have an event here, I can basically make that be stripped from the summary. And I can also map the event to be type object here. I think it did it. Wow. It did, but yeah, it did. Oh, undefined, obviously. Yeah, so it got some issues. That wasn't it. That's the result will be strip summary of the result. That, what will we get? Equal to undefined. Okay. Does this still work? Strip the summary. Should be equal to undefined, but was blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we're not getting the checkpoint result. Yes. This is the problem. So this seems to be okay. It's just now we don't have a result, which is that generic thing that we were looking for. And fortunately, I think we need to have multi-step process here where do expected. And that's not what we want. We want fine, but here we want expected to be strip summary, checkpoint event. I think that's good. Should do it. Nope. But are we at least getting what it should be? Still undefined. Oh, expected, of course. So it's not that. Expected. Good, but was... Oh, no. Wrong one. Checkpoint result, checkpoint result. Checkpoint result should be. And of course, should be equal to checkpoint expected. That work? Nope. It should be equal to, oh, okay, at least we're getting data. Okay, so data, name, meta, type, conference name was type, event, data. Okay, so that's the part that we need to do. We strip the summary, expected. We don't have summary in that, so it's just that. But the result should be equal to. So we're kind of unwrapping all this. So we don't need the type because we just need data. Delete type. No, we have that result. Don't need summary. Meta is act Data. Data is that's fine. Data is data. Delta data. Meta. Type. Yeah, type result. Uh, I think it is just close. Yeah, I got it. That's all it is. Okay. So that strips this silly type at the top. Type is event of meta. Yeah, okay. Uh I don't want to put things like conference named event. The naming to be the way we our stuff here. Now, let's just go with this. It looks could just do result dot dot and then delete type at the top. That strips the summary of the result. Oh god. Type. Is that gonna do it? Yeah, still does it. Okay, so after doing that, checking it's an event, and it knows to strip the summary, and it knows to have the expected equaling proper property from that. Yeah, that's fine. It's ugly. Let's make the other tests pass first, and we'll continue on. Make sure all of this stuff worked here. Yep, that's great. And so now we need to be equal to data name event modeling type conference name, but was data okay? So it's getting no data because obviously our parameters here are yeah per our event is still the same, good, but our test is to be the same. So first of all, purpose goes up. our command is really just our parameter. Move everything. Now this here. Okay, so that, so renames are allowed. We have a previous event purpose for this one, and our result is an event. Great. This is good. I don't like this here. Because we're not checking that we are getting an event. So we need to actually rewrite this because we need to now expect an event, right? So we should really have this as a separate thing. If checkpoint event, and we have expected that, okay? And we don't need an else if. We just need an if there. And so we don't need that here. Else if checkpoint that exception. Expected is exception. And that as query. Do we call it query? Or I think we should call it query because we're gonna have parameters. It's a query result. So should do a model. Do model. Model. I think we'll call it model. Because that's what we get when we do queries. Okay. So I think that's good. We can just kind of one line them. I don't know if there's a faster way to do that. Better syntax for this. Probably is, but. So our expected is going to be expecting whatever we found in our current checkpoint. Yeah, I'm really wondering if there's a better way to do that. I think there is. I think it's expected equals dot event or checkpoint exception of checkpoint model. I think that should do it, right? A much nicer way of looking at it. And in fact, I don't even know if we need to do that. I think we can just do const and then just get rid of this line entirely. That should do it. So And summaries at the top, so we could just have the result dot summary equals undefined. That should still do it. Just before I do that, I want to double check that it runs. Okay, it does run. So I think we can also get rid of this by getting rid of the type together. Result. You know, it really doesn't matter which one you're doing. We really want the result equal. We don't need strip summary. I think we just everything from result type to be undefined. And the summary to be undefined. We have the summary and the, oh, no, we didn't. I think it might be a problem too. Nope, it's all good. That's just a test runner. Awesome. Okay, so we have the expected kind of be whatever it is. Grab it out of one of the things, either an event, an model. Cool. And then thing that we got back, get rid of type and get rid of the summary. Have those in here. Script out. Good. So now we can go ahead and test out the next piece here. So we have the here where we have the event, the parameter, purpose, space, and that. So we should have two things passing, but we don't. And what is that? Data, event modeling, space, type, conference, named. So we have the metadata in here. Ah, so are we rewriting all of these tests? Forget what we did last time. Data and the meta summary. But here we have event and the type. Meta. I think we wanted the meta collection. Or do we want to get rid of the meta level just to have the data that's top? I think we just wanted data because the meta was implied at the higher level. And that's kind of like what event or DB has by default. So don't want extra stuff. So event and not event type, but event name, I guess. Event itself is the type. Guess we just need just go full bore on this. Get rid of stuff. So here, really don't need, yeah, we already got rid of that. So it's really the, this. And yeah, this metadata, all this stuff, I guess I'll be writing a little JQ query to kind of redo all our fake data again, because our fake data is now going to be smaller. We don't have that silly meta layer, we just have the data layer. So I like that, but obviously not going to run anymore. No, it's still running. Both. But now we have this here. This is a name. I'm curious to see how, yeah, this has to be changed. Event.name. Do we have the word type in there or name? Oh, because we're using a type for the type of response, the event name, and then the event data. I guess that's fine. Like it. Have a result type. Yeah. The order of these things, but I think the type gets stripped anyway. When we save this events, strip the summary. Yeah, definitely this is going to event type is the event.name. Summary we have at the top. Yeah, that's kind of. Which this is interesting because this. I wonder if we can just do this name. I don't have to pull this out at all because then the runner can pull out the exception. Makes it nice. We got to the here. Hold your horses. Turn type event. Name is conference. Yeah. Type exception. Since we okay, this is good. I think this is a little more consistent. Summary is that. Okay, good. So now we don't have to pass in the exception. Let the under the bootstrap. So I like that because it can draw upon these in here. That's looking a lot better. Okay. The reason that I like that is because I'm reducing the amount of code necessary um, to do all this, right? I can reduce the amount of code that we need to write for our date changes. This becomes incredibly easy for us to have all the context we need for AI to do all our coding. If we don't have this as succinct and well named as possible, so the return has a type exception, and exception was type is an event. Okay, it has that. That's great. Has some summary. Good too. Let's just see if we can run this. Wow, we even passed the second one. So this is good. So now that we got things, yeah, the data, the name there, that's the event. Yep. Name. 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 Here, of course, we can move purpose up. That. Of course, we have the parameter here. That worked well, and our result is parameter here and correct. So now we got 3 tests passing. Yeah, that's good. So, and of course, we also want these tests to be as succinct as possible, right? So that's why I wanted to get rid of that type in there. We know it's an event, the name of the event, that's the data. That's pretty clear what's going on. And yeah, and so far so good. So we have, yeah, it's going to be an interesting, a very, very interesting set of workshops this time around. Don't forget about the workshops because, yeah, going through this from scratch is going to be really cool. You're going to realize why you include some things, why you don't include some things at different levels. Because you're going to have, you know, that ability to make the most of the context windows in your IDEs when they use large language models, or even like your own in-company trained models, or just prompts for your own company's kind of ubiquitous language and all that. You want this cruft to be as minimal as possible, and so far, you know, this looks very very small here. Oh, actually, we do have a data. How did we get that? Interesting. Okay, so I don't know where data was being used, but do we now fail if we get rid of the data? Or we not use this? Because we already had the data in the conference, the data's coming there. So now we have a problem because all that here. Parameter, now data. This should still work. We're almost got everything working, but I'm curious now if this will still work. Set the names, their implementations. That new, yeah, we have a problem because of here. So that's fine. I wonder why is that highlighted? Weird. Um, oh, we still have this name thing here. How do we introduce that again? Oh, I know, because we have that data. Forgot that we already had that last. So we're thinking ahead. So the invariant function is there. Yeah. Okay. So all we did was we forgot to run that. And now I think we should be good. Our implementation should work here and that. Yeah, it works fine. And data is that. We're getting the summary is not getting stripped out of when we save this. So let's see. Summary is that. That we have strip summary event. Yeah, so summary. Huh. How did that get in there? Don't want the strip summary at. Oh no, wait a second. Getting into the meta. Where the hell are we? There's no meta here. Interesting. Interesting. So it must be something to do with how we put data in the runner. Bootstrap. Yeah. Have some each. That's good. We're actually making that. Place. Event name. I don't think that was the problem though. Their problem. Meta is that look. We no longer need exception. Okay, why do we not need exceptions? Because our result has that. We don't need that. That's correct. If we catch that, but we also need. Is it throw? It's not throwing anything. Oh, we just return. An issue here with that. Now, if yeah, this we have if result type equals exception next to our return. I think that's okay. This is the last type. Catch exception. Oh, we didn't have to throw exception. We don't need. We are handling the fact that it's an exception here. Okay. So if it's an event, we do that. Summary equals blah blah blah. Data. Okay, we have meta here. That's the problem. And this is where we have the type, the name. Summary. Yep. Why is this? Oh, that, okay. Have the data, the name, and the summary, which are correct way. Stuff now should be good to go. Okay, so do that again. Back here, have for continue reading type, of course. And we did actually have the data name. Oh, we had it in two places. Oh no, that's fine. That's conference. The name of the event is here, and the summary is still getting put in here, which is good. So summary is that. And let the event, we don't need the summary. But then what do we have as an error? Cannot read properties in the reading type. Nah. What do we have? Oh, here. Which result? No, result type is correct. Right, we're doing the result type. Yeah. Okay. 2, 3, 6. Why is there a type here? Undefined reading type. Pushing event. Error pushing. somewhere in here there's type. Name, summary. Yep. Oh, probably here in notify processor. Notify processors have a problem because event.name. Okay, that's fine. So that was the issue here. But again, that was just in the notification of processors, so we pushed everything up. That is the correct order of events because we want event written to disk first always. Anything else? So that's that 5. Nope, on 45. It's giving me the other content because data, name, and the summary. Data, name, yeah. But why did it go to this? I see, because I believe that the time that it had anything, it had meta data in here. Yeah, so this is going to the next stage of actually looking at the state view. Yes, the state view is correct. This is the last time that it found a proper named type of an event here, where it was nested in meta. Here it isn't, so it'll always read that as being the last valid event that it can read. So that is by design, and we need, in order to fix it, we need to get to the next slice here. So meanwhile, let's just finish the test. So our test runner is doing what it needs to do properly, and we have just checking exception now. So we go back to this side of this and check. I think I'm dinner. All right, you get about half hour here to finish up this last test. So I think at least having the exception now and probably the state view, I think it's a good test of the basic syntax that we want to support for defining these slices. And as you can see, the reason we're doing all the other nasty code here is to keep our business logic incredibly small, right? This is really all we need to, talk about, hey, are we doing input? Yep. What are we doing? What data are we getting? What path is this responding to when we look at the requests? What view are we rendering? What are we doing for redirecting after? Right, so what view are we rendering for this? Where are we redirecting to after successfully doing that? When we're calculating our state to understand what we're going to do, what is that initial state? We could do anything in here. In this case, it's just the current name. So a blank is good enough. What previous events do we care about? And what do we do about them in order to get our worldview straight? That's all we do here. What possible exceptions are we going to have due to our business rules? Okay, that's what we have here. That we can't change the name and all that. That's pretty explicit. And then how do we check those invariants? This way. And how do we show success? Well, we return the type of event, exception of wrong. That's it. That's all we need to do to define a workflow step. And if I can define all these steps in something like this, that's going to be very few pieces of information. And of course, I'm going to have these test timelines with checkpoints along the way. If we have, you know, a purpose for a particular one. I don't know if I want to use the word purpose here now. I really want the large language models to kind of grab onto something that they've learned from other more common projects. So if you have an idea of what this should be named, is it purpose? Is it something else? Should really see what that is. So for now, we'll leave it as that. Later, I'll do a search replace for the word purpose to something else. Because this is test timelines. There's a timeline, checkpoints, and here we have we have a test purpose, but it should be something else, I think. No. They are checkpoints, but maybe even that is a bad name. Here we could say assertion. Checkpoint could be timeline. It should be a instance or interval. Step maybe. So here we would have steps in a timeline. I don't know. Let me know what works better for you. But let's keep going. So we have our 3 initial tests going. Now let's make sure that the rest of this works. Have this as name. And I think that's all we have. We have a previous data point. And if we try to change the name to the same name, we should get this exception. So this should be fun. Liking this. Let's see what error we get. Aha. So we have that. And that's actually an interesting issue, because now we have this. We just have the name. And here our test looking at just the name, the exception, which is good. Oh, so we actually are failing on our invariant here for some reason. So our parameter not equaling our state. So I'm convinced that I think we have a problem with the conference named running here. So I don't think we're actually picking up anything. Oh, we have a lot of errors. So cannot access state before initialization. So 1245. Right. So Cannot access state before cannot access state before okay, so 1245. So we have because we have a reducer and then we have an initial slice initial test from the slice. Initial state we do have just that. It's interesting it has test passed. Test passed. Oh, so we do have some issues. So this has been failing. So our gotta check why our other tests are passing. I think they're just bad tests. It really didn't care. It didn't have like we were throwing an error here on these event handlers, and we shouldn't actually. We should throw. These shouldn't pass. I mean, we shouldn't be. If our tests are screwing up, we should be throwing here. Shouldn't be. We shouldn't be carrying on. So, I don't think we need a try catch on here. In fact, in the test runner, we need to be squeaky clean. Need to get rid of this, and this, and this. And now if we run, we should get all our tests failing again. Yes. Okay, so we actually weren't done yet. So we are on the second one, and of course we have cannot access state before initialization. So we have an issue here where we go back up. So we have test pass, test failed. That's better. 1245. Why is 1245 causing an issue? Event handlers name. Where's our event handler here? Event, oh, data.name return. That is our state. Yes. So why is that causing an issue? Well, okay. Kind of want that. Is that going to cause that? Was that the issue? No. It's still a problem. Yeah, so something in the reducer, slice initial state. I mean, are we showing any of this stuff as it's running? I mean, I could just console log the slice. I hate doing that because it's way too much. I'm doing it on every single thing, so it doesn't, yeah, I don't want it here. For each slice, so we kind of want to have the so now we can look at the very top. It'll say what we have. So we have our slice, our direction, name, initial state is that. So why is that giving me an issue? Oh, yeah. No, that's fine. Slice event handlers, and then we call that function with the accumulator. God damn it. There we go. No wonder. More of these little red herrings that I don't really need to see that. I know what that is. Oh, okay, that's much better. We're back to where we started off with. So, okay. Name, no change. Okay, so somehow we're getting this wrap here. So should be equal to no change to name, but was name, no change to name. So return event. Type exception. Name, okay. And then of course our, yeah, so it's the way that we want to write our tests. Just want that exception there. So we just need to unwrap that here. So we already got the expected to be stripped. But we were stripping that, stripping summary. However, need to treat, we need to treat the justice an exception. The expected is the data and name, state view model and name, and exception. It'll just be string, so an object. I guess we'll just not a valid thing. JavaScript. So if the exception is there, then we make expected be the checkpoint dot exception dot otherwise checkpoint event or checkpoint model. We haven't gotten to those yet, but I think that should work, because if we have an exception, then we just strip out everything and just leave the name, make our test pass. Otherwise, we just grab the contents of the event or the model. That should do it. Oops. Nope. Undefined. Should be equal. Exception. Oh, that's where we actually have to wrap it. Name. So it's not return object with the name that is exception. Checkpoint exception, not name. I don't want type. Yes. Okay. A little bit messy because of we want to support this incredibly explicit non-indirect way of talking about exceptions. See how it wants that in there? No, I do not want. Now that this is just, it's always going to be an exception that's picked out of kind of a enumeration of exceptions that we want. But hey, we got all of them passing. And with our new test runner, so a lot more, I guess, it's a lot less complicated because again, we're just doing this assertion. And it's just about mapping out syntax for our how we lay these out. And all we're doing is checking if we have a purpose. And again, I want to rename this to something that is more descriptive for the models. So because we have times, yeah, we're going to have to revisit just the way that this happened. But so far, I like how things are kind of handled here. Don't like the syntax for how things are described here. We actually have just a collection of strings, really, which makes me think that we could use a different format, just a string format for test timelines. I do not like nested JSON things. So I would really like to have a syntax that's better. About these, I think I want these timelines to really just be a string. And yeah, and really just get rid of all of these. Just extra crappy white space. Um, yeah, this is just crappy white space that we don't need. I think this can be, I mean, I can make this all, like make all of these things kind of live on this a single timeline. Sorry, a single line. Like definitely like these, and sort of like live here, like so. Close off things. Right, that's the event living here. But now I have this like checkpoint. I don't want that on this. I might, but um, this is the end of our checkpoints too. So that's kind of gross, right? And this is the end of this timeline, so I can do that. And, you know, in the interest of being concise, we have these things kind of sitting here like this. I feel gross doing all this. Sort of working. Like I see already have things that are, I'm already getting the wrong amount of that's closing that, that's closing that, closing that. But this is closing that too soon. I have 2 checkpoints. I can't close off the checkpoint yet. That. This one is closing off. Would be close checkpoint. I need a comma here. Just really gross. I don't like this. I think just having an indentation and better naming, we could make this into something that's a little better. I like the way that this sort of shows the checkpoints timeline and timelines that I have. I guess it's kind of legible. I have, I don't know if I want that. Kind of makes sense. So that when I have timelines, I'm seeing these as all the timelines. So I have one timelines. I can shrink them. Yes. Timelines I have. I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts on this? I kind of don't want to have to scroll through a lot. This is just dummy data that is not dummy data, but example data that's quite important, but that is better represented graphically in an event model than in here. So, you know, this is setup. We just have a checkpoint that has an event that's obviously set up. Now we have a purpose that we can say that, all right, we are going to have a command that has a parameter. So we got rid of the word command. So parameter is better. It kind of says we're going to be calling a function. We're going to be passing in some data. In this case, it's a string. Cool. And then as a result, we're going to have this event. Nice. So anyway, gross. Um, we got the first. We got the first run of this initial slice. Again, the core way that it works is just through here. This is all of the business logic needed. Has everything that you need to kind of wire it up to the form in the UI and everything else. Yeah, I want things to be this simple. And of course, all of this will be auto-generated. We really will move entirely into the event modeling process altogether. This will just continue working as our sort of code generation tool. That's about it. This again will be coming in from the event model. Really just these timelines that express what's happening. So I am kind of editing this a bit to get what of the space, the amount of white space that we use up to be minimal, but rather use probably without all these brackets. It kind of loses count. You know, these things. Let it. All right, and so yeah, now we have timelines, so we can shrink them. Happy path, rename allowed multiple times. Nice. Here. That's yeah, so we can shrink row the needed. I don't like that dragging it. I guess that's the last line in there. There may be a case for not having all of these separate lines. Points. All right. I don't know why I'm wasting time on formatting. I just wanted to see it in a nice format that's short. If it's expanded, can I actually go, okay, my implementation's here, and my business logic is tested with scenarios here over a timeline. Yeah, I think that's good. Again, let's get rid of all this white space here. 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 And yeah, the other thing is, do I want to last one? Probably. I think I can shrink down this, and that kind of gives me still a tie into the top level slices. I kind of want that on there. I'm thinking I kind of want this up here, because if I shrink the thing, I see what slice I'm talking about. think that works well. That's it. So should have everything really as navigatable as this. So that is good. Like it. Of course, I'll move these functions into the proper place. So now what we've done is we've removed this old app post with all the errors and the messy stuff in here. So now we can get rid of this. Post now works. I should just check that it works. And then I probably will have to eat. Yeah, so I'm going to finish up this part. Maybe push this up for people to look at. It is totally a work in progress, but if you want to look at it, I will put that up there. Still causing the issue. So we do have that, but our state view isn't looking at our new event format. So our event format, look at that set. So we now don't need these either. So now we've replaced these with testing. Done. Now we have this confirmation name, which we can basically oh, and also set conference name. This whole thing, including the exception, disappear as well. It's so good to just remove them. And then conference date change. This is where we're experimenting with how we break this down into ends. But we don't need this either. It goes away. And so all of our state change for naming the conference is here, including all the tests. So when we're dealing with naming conference, all the code that we need, including all the tests, are here, and all the setup data, all event source, all setting. So now we can move on to the conference name confirmation, the get. And this is kind of where I want to kind of start talking about maybe making everything a post, just because I don't want to get into this opinion if I'm getting something or nothing. If I'm getting something, the post will just have an empty form, like nothing there. But I'm not dealing with these posts or gets or whatever. And again, every action is going to have just a regular function call based on the results. We're either going to have a model. If it's a model, we're going to try and supply that model to the view that we have, and all that. So let's see how this shakes out this evening. I'm going to actually have some food and then come back and finish off that one confirmation page to use the event types and using this new syntax that's nice. Should play much better with AI. So anyway, thanks for joining me. Let me this here. We have everything on this nodes thing. Again, we're just folding this down, so just get add everything. Status that. Commit. And good. Okay, so thanks for joining for this one. Hopefully that gave you some ideas of how you can translate slices to really easy code, or at least concise code. It'll make the mapping of your functionality from the event model to your implementation. So again,